and I'm with my dear, beautiful friend Yankov, and this is episode 2 of For No
Yes.
Particular Reason, which
Yes.
we literally were just talking about what are we going to talk about, and I'm like, well, if our show's called No Particular Reason, well, let's just see where the conversation goes.
Yes. Yes.
So, Yanko,
So,
what do you do in the world? What's your shtick?
well, I am usually like what I usually do. I'm a hypnotist. I do hypnosis, and um, what I do it's helping people learn how to process their emotions better, and I help people. Um, Learn new habits and work on themselves, and I also help people explore their spirituality through regression, or particularly past life regressions, or overall just kind of like dipping in their deeper parts of their mind. And that's pretty much it. That's what I do, and
Oh
I
yeah,
love
that's
doing it.
just it. That's what I do. I get into people's minds and mess with it, but it's cool. No, anybody watching Yanko's exceptional. He's actually done some work with me, so I can say, from a place of experience that he's very, very well informed and creates a safe space for you to do the work you need to, particularly if you're looking for somebody to work with your mind. I think that's really important to mention. So yeah. And then for those of you who don't know, I am Kerri Lewis. My title is addiction and mental health recovery coach and speaker, but I'm so much more than that. Really similar to Yanko, I got you like a fish. I hold space for you as you examine your belief systems, your habits, your way of living. And then I teach you tools and strategies, and we come up with a framework to help you not only learn yourself outside of societal narratives, family expectations, all the stuff that all of us have been embedded with, but I teach you how to then take care of yourself so that you can show up in this world as your fully expressed self based on your own terms, what feels good for you, rather than how you think you need to show up, because that's how the world taught you needed to show up.
Yep. Yeah, that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
yeah, very many people don't understand the whole thing, and it's confusing to some to understand. And sometimes they say, well, you're not like everybody else, you're not thinking the same way everybody's thinking, like, and that's the idea. I mean, you have to be your unique self, like you have to believe in you and come as you in this world, not as somebody that people want you to be, because there is need for you to be in this world the way you are, not like somebody else, or just being yourself. It's
Yeah, well,
more
I mean,
than
I
good
think a lot
enough.
of people would say, well, what do you mean? I am myself, right? But I have discovered through a lot of work, guys, I've been doing this work since I was 14 years old. It started with psychology and then it morphed. And I think anybody who is on a true healing journey, even if it starts with like just self development, you're inevitably going to fall into spirituality. Because I didn't even grow up spiritual, Yanko. Like I grew up, I mean, God, I hated myself till my mid 30s. So I just thought I was a mistake, but it was just the evolution of my own healing that got me into the place where I, recognize we come from, a loving energy, whether you call that God, you call that universe, you can call it a purple dinosaur. I don't really care, but whatever you identify as what we all come from, the creator of creation, right? So
Yep.
it's so here's what I want to talk to you about, though. Something that came up, it keeps coming up for me with people I'm working with, and something I still wrestle with from time to time guilt, right? So
Yeah.
guilt is such a powerful energy that really keeps people in suffering, right? And I know as soon as I feel guilty, I'm going to be, I feel out of alignment. And so for anybody who's like, what's alignment? Because I've done my work for so long, I have a really strong understanding that if I get tightness in this side of my body, I'm out of alignment. And guilt is something that I was seeped in as somebody who struggled with a myriad of addictions, as somebody who really grew up in a household where my parents did the best they can and I have nothing but love for them. But there was a lot of dictatorship, there was a lot of yelling, there was a lot of fighting. I grew up believing I was bad, so I always felt guilty. And I realized as I'm continuing to show up um in this world, I still contend with guilt, and I feel like that takes me out of my ability to positively co-create with the universe. So how do you wrestle with guilt?
I just
Do you
see it
feel guilty
as
actually?
yeah. I usually catch myself when I feel guilty about it, or I feel guilty about something, and I use that opportunity to kind of observe what I'm feeling guilty about, and how do I transform that, because there shouldn't be a reason for one to feel um, guilty about anything, um, because if you look at nature, the birds don't feel guilty for scratching a paint job or anything else, um, or it's just an emotion that comes in, and you observe it, and you see what is that about, and you kind of work with it in a way, with like anything else. If you're sitting in the present, and you're always paying attention of what's going on, um, there will be emotions, there will be thoughts, there will be different things that come out, um, and and the idea is not to suppress them. The idea is not to not feel your feelings, or see your thoughts, but you don't have to react on any way, and make assumption because you feel guilty that maybe you're bad or you did something wrong, which could have been a thing, but just kind of like see the whole thing unfold, but not react to it, is like a first thing that comes to, like, whatever it's the programming that is running in the background. Because you might have thoughts that come out and say, well, because I did this and I'm feeling guilty because I shouldn't been feeling happy in this moment, or maybe there's
That,
somebody else that
that
is very unhappy or something else.
that comes up a lot where people feel badly because
Hmm.
they feel good when
Hmm.
a family member is going through a medical diagnosis or somebody passed away or whatever, right? And
Right.
I mean, now I'm like, what? Like, I get so perplexed. I'm like, you feel guilty, but I get it because at some point I was there. I think for me specifically on my own journey and where that question came up, um, for me today, because I spent a good amount of time in spiritual practice this morning, is if I'll ever escape guilt, like the feeling of guilt, if I'll ever get to a place where, I don't judge anything good or bad, so I will kind of bypass guilt altogether, which personally I'm okay with, just saying.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way though. I
That's
had
so
that
sad.
idea. Like, I had that idea before, when I thought, like, okay, those people, because maybe they're enlightened, or maybe they're not feeling emotion, and those are all like ideas that the mind makes on his own.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then once you make an assumption about something, you already made up your mind, so there's no possibility to actually explore anything. kind of like if you concentrate on something in the room, all your attention will be there. And then you're not going to be able to see anything else that comes, or there you might not see a possibility that might come to mind, or anything. And then, to me it was like almost like an aha moment when I sat with the emotions that I'm feeling in a particular moment, and just observing instead of reacting, instead of being in react mode, just observing of like what's going on, like like almost like watching traffic go by. You're like,
Yeah.
there is
Yeah.
like emotion comes up, and and I catch myself a lot of the times when I'm like, I'm not deserving. Maybe this is too good for me to happen, or maybe I'm not, or in this moment I'm not doing the right thing, or the wrong, or I'm doing the wrong thing. Um, so it's not like that. It's not like you're escaping your life. You're not
Yeah.
here to
Because
escape.
we are here
You're
to have an experience.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not a form of escapism where you just kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore all my problems and they're gonna go away,
Yeah. I
or
tell
like
people
I'm
all
gonna
the time,
be
that's
in delay.
spiritual bypassing, that's bullshit, and that
Yeah,
does not work, and in fact, you sit in more suffering. Like, we are here, guys, for expansion, for growth, and, you and I talk a lot about this off, line, but I truly unequivocally have a wisdom, a knowing that I can't say where exactly it came from, probably the accumulation of my experiences and the many spiritual teachers that I have tapped into over the course of my life. But we are meant to experience unconditional love and joy. And for me, when it comes to guilt now, and this is new. This is like within this week. I really feel like I'm like shifting really fast. I As soon as I recognize it and I choose to let it go, I don't even say like I don't even feel the need to go there anymore. Because if I say I'd be like, oh, well, I feel guilty because I looked at that person and I thought something negative about them, but then I thought something negative about them because society conditioned me to believe that you have to look a certain way to be considered an attractive person, and then so I'm not really a bad person. I'm like, that shit's crap. Just let the okay. I thought that thought. I felt guilty. I realized that I was thinking that thought. I felt guilty, and now I'm gonna sit in joy, and everything's copacetic, and I'm happy again.
yeah, and once you realize that, that never comes back because you already like balanced out that whatever was going on, you
Oh,
you
well, thank
balanced it
God.
out.
I'm
Yeah.
doing some awesome work then this week. And I'm like, whoo! Which I can tell anyway because my third eye is vibrating. It's like, I thought I was crazy for the first week. I'm like, nope, that's definitely my third eye saying hello. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing that happening all across like social media, and for a lot of people, because like everything is changing rapidly. Like,
very rapidly.
yeah, yeah.
But it's interesting. I think this, I'm gonna pivot a little bit because this is no
Please do. I mean, that's why we're here.
which I love. No, but seriously, I think that goes back to you said to me right before we were live. You were like, "How's your energy?" Like, you kind of fell off. And I think if I had to describe it, like I'm absorbing people's negative energy. And that's like, or maybe not absorbing is the right word because I'm a good at protecting myself, but I'm picking up on people's energy in a really profound way. And
Yeah.
it's it's interesting because even as you asked me that question, I caught myself and I'm like, okay, is Yanko projecting his energy on me? Is this really my energy? Like I had to go through this whole shit. Like I
Right.
did. And but what do you do with that? Because I am one, I purposefully work with people in active addiction. So their energy is obviously not going to be um at the same vibration as mine. But then two, I don't always have the ability to clearly delineate whether it's their energy or mine. And that's because, again, I'm still working through my own narratives of healing. So it's like, I'll give you a good example. I speak my truth. Like my throat chakra is like, "Meh." So if the universe tells me to look at a client and say, listen, you're lying to yourself. Like right now, you're not being honest. And as
Right.
a result, you can't move forward. Now I will totally say that. No problem. Boom. But then depending on where I'm at, I might feel their energy and suck it in and be like, oh my God, like I shouldn't have said that, and then feel guilty. And then it becomes this big hodgepodge messy thing. So what are your thoughts on all of that rambling, Yanko?
I mean, I'm kind of in the same way because, like, I'm working with people, and a lot of the times I have to sit with their feelings, and a lot of the times when I work with people, like, say they're in outer state of being, they're in trance,
Yeah.
and I can feel the emotion come up before it's like actually embodied, and they start to cry or whatever it is, and if it triggers you, it's probably because you have something that you haven't dealt with that
Oh
you
yeah,
have to
for sure.
like work
Yep.
on. But usually, to me, when I feel something that is not mine, I know it's not mine, and that doesn't happen like overnight. You still, to me, I'm still not 100%. Maybe like 80 to 90%. I can say, okay, this is not my emotion, or this is somebody else's emotion. But that, for me, worked the way is that I sit on meditation and I work with whatever comes up, so I know myself.
Yeah.
And so when I'm aware of my own emotions in the body, um, I am more discerning in knowing somebody else's emotions so
Yeah.
that I can compare it to, because I'm reflecting and I'm sitting in quite a bit of time where I'm, sitting with myself and I'm getting comfortable with myself, which wasn't the case at the beginning for me. Like, I wasn't comfortable by myself, but now I'm like, I need some time to just be by myself,
Oh,
you
I
know?
love being by myself. It's so funny. I was in meditation earlier today. I'm like, I should probably get out of meditation. I could just hang out here. Well, I'm curious. Do you have? So you mentioned that you sit with yourself. Is there any identifying factor for you when you know you're out of alignment? Like for me, it's a clear, like no joke. My right here tightens, and interestingly enough, as soon as I come back in alignment, I burp out pockets of air. It's not an audible burp, but immediately it's like, pew, and I know I'm like, oh, I'm good now. Let's keep going. Now, sometimes I do that, I don't even know, 100 times in an hour because I'm still stuck on that
Right.
thought. So I'm stuck there. I release it. I'm at peace, and then I'm stuck there. I release it. I'm at peace. Do you have anything like that?
I have something similar, and I'm glad that you brought this up, because a lot of people experience the world differently. Like, some people are more visual, some people are more kinesthetic,
Hmm.
some people can experience sound, and some people can smell smells, or just have clear knowing. Like, they just know for no particular reason. They can just be like, "Why is this?" And they're like, "Just because it is." And like, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
to me, it's more of a kinesthetic kind of feeling. If something doesn't feel okay in the body, I feel it in the body, and then I feel like I have to do something to let it go. Like, I might just, like, shake my hands to like shake it off. Um, I might even feel like I might have to wash it off with cold water and just kind of get it off me, whatever that feeling is that does not belong.
Hmm.
Um, and those are the indications to me. Like, I might be talking to somebody and I might start feeling things on my body as I talk. So it's totally different. So what it's one thing for you or somebody else could be totally different for somebody
Well, yeah,
else.
I mean, and it is so individualized, but I think I bring up that point not because I didn't think you had something, but I think, for our audience, what you guys, whoever's listening, needs to understand, and I did a post about this a couple days ago. Our journey is so individualized. Like
Right.
Yanko and me have a similar grasp of the fact
Hmm.
that we come from in a creator that makes it so we don't know shit because we really don't know
Hmm.
anything. So we have that in common. But how you achieved your journey and where you're at now and what you experience can be completely different than me,
Right.
but we're still going to the same place. It just
Right.
looks, feels. However, for anybody out there, you're like, if you start to learn yourself, if you start to become aware, and it really just starts with asking the question, like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I picking up another beer? Why am I staying in a job I hate? Why? Right? The minute you ask that question, at least you'll get some form of awareness. It may not come right away, but usually you could be doing something and out of nowhere you get some insight.
Right.
Um, Eventually you will know yourself so well that you will feel what Yanko and I are talking about in terms of we know what when we're not connected, like really when we're in our thinking mind, when we're overthinking, because when you're overthinking and you're out of alignment, for me anyway, I can't speak for you because we have different experiences. It just means I'm in fear and I need to then shift out of fear.
Yeah, the fear, it's the one emotion that usually comes up. Fear, anger, scare, well, which is fear. I forgot. There's like a handful of emotions that play around in everyday's life to everyone, and majority of the people that I come across are not even aware because they just run
The
based
program.
on patterns. Like they just keep doing the same thing, and then as you go old, as you grow old, those become more and more established. So then you get to a point where you don't even feel like doing anything because you're nice and comfy on your day to day. Like you get up, you drink your coffee first thing in the morning, then maybe you read the news or you check up your email and you keep going in the same pattern, and there's no particular reason for it. And
Yeah,
then
but
and,
would you not agree that those behaviors cause suffering? And then you wonder, because our soul is, first off, I truly believe, and maybe you feel differently, and that's fine, that we are meant for expansion. We are.
right.
We are meant to grow and expand. And really, if you go beyond that, we are meant to co-create with our creator. We come from a
Mhm.
conscious universe that is constantly expanding. Our universes are expanding. The
Right.
infinite is expanding, and we as part of the infinite are expanding. And when you take care of your spiritual, mental, and physical health, you can positively co-create with your creator, and that is really where manifestation comes. And here's the thing, guys, we are all manifesting all the time because your thoughts create your reality. It's just
Right.
that when you are conscious of it, you can co-create an experience that brings you joy and pleasure and love rather than suffering, which is where I'm touching upon, because an established program like that keeps you, like, honestly, if you're not expanding, you're contracting, right? You're
Yeah.
contracting
Yep.
and contracting and contracting, and then you wonder why we have pervasive mental and physical illness within this world.
Yeah. To me, it's more of you're 100% right about what you said. To me, it's more of we always want to be full, whole, and complete. And if something, bumps us out of this full, whole, and complete, then we find a way to cope with that situation to come back to full, whole, and complete and feeling happy and loved and in peace and everything. And usually that's how it happens. Um, you go with whatever happens through your day, and then if something comes and bumps you out of whatever you were doing every day. Say you're taking the same road. That's a very simple example. Say you take the same road every day to work and you travel, and then all of a sudden there is a construction. The road is black, and now you push to take another road. Well, that's becoming very uncomfortable for you because like you're already in the set, and now that bumps you out of this full whole and complete. All of a sudden you start to think, well, I don't know alternative roads. Maybe I'll be late for work, or maybe I'll get lost, or maybe I'll even get stuck, or whatever. And then you start to create whatever ways you can create creatively in that moment, a way to find yourself back to like, okay, I'm just gonna breathe. I'm not gonna panic or whatever, to get you back to being full, whole, and complete. So, usually that's how it works. And
Yeah, but
usually when I
let me stop you there, because I think that you and I both know, because you're a hypnotist and I am whatever I am. I don't even care at this point. But the reality is most people don't feel whole and complete. And so
right,
they aren't saying, "Oh, let me breathe," or "Oh, let me sit in meditation,"
right,
or "Oh, let me go tap into a tree and connect
right.
with nature."
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
saying, "Crap, I feel like crap, I'm going to drink." And so and this is so true. When you're going along to get along, so to speak, right? So you're programmed to do all the things that you just said. Yeah. You wake up, you drink your coffee, you give your significant other a peck on the cheek, you rub your kids' heads, you go off to work, you do all the things.
Right,
And you're not like from a very spiritually or energetic place, joyful. The universe is going to give you constant opportunities
right.
to look at and change your experience, right?
Yep.
And if you don't listen, you'll keep getting them. And to your point, like once you recognize a lesson and you let it go, you no longer have to, address it. For me, do you know, like I was thinking about this. I just got denied to volunteer with kids to drive them because I have like 8 or 9 car accidents on, and like 3 car accidents happened in a span of, like, I don't even know, maybe 8 days. And the funny thing is now that I have a deeper awareness, I'll never forget the day. I'm driving down the road in my car and I'm like, oh my God, something's got to give, because I was opening 2 companies at the time. I was opening the cannabis company I was hired for, helping my little sister open a bakery. And I forget, I was doing something else. And I'm in the middle of a divorce. And I remember like being like, I'm losing my mind. And I'm like, something's got to give, right? And so I'm driving, boom, car accident. Within 2 more days, boom, car accident. Within like 3 or 4 more days, boom, car accident. And luckily, I had done enough work. So I'm like, I hear you, universe. Thank you very much. You're telling me I got to slow down. But before that, I would say, even thinking years before, I had worked as a leader for Starbucks. And by the time this happened, I was over it. I knew for like 2 years I had outgrown the position, that I needed to move on. But because of fear, I'm like, I'm going to stick it out, right? Which now I know, don't do that, but I didn't at the time. And so I was in a major car accident. And I mean, it really, it messed me up, because at the time I was boxing and I was doing all these things, and I was bedridden. I couldn't hug my kids, which then caused me to spiral into mental health issues. So it became this whole thing, which I ended up losing my job at Starbucks. And at the time it broke my heart. I was like, oh my God, I gave you these people my life, you little like. And because I was in a car accident that spun me into depression and all this stuff, you guys quickly dismissed me. But I now know that was the universe saying, listen, Kerri, you wouldn't get out your own way. So I immediately took action and bumped you out. And so that's why, for anybody out there, understand this: you are not escaping expansion. You're not going to escape growth. You may not do it in this experience. That's the real thing, but you cannot not escape the necessary suffering that we all have to go through so we can grow through it, so we can learn who we are and then come back to love.
Right.
Would you agree with like my
Yeah.
summary of that?
Yeah. I won't disagree and say there's no suffering. There is suffering. But again, it's the polarity that allows you to
Well, the suffering is
know
made up in our
yourself. Yeah.
minds. It's an
Right.
illusion. But I mean,
Right.
and this is where I get what you're saying, right? Because I'm
Right.
there. But I also understand from the person. So I think back to the Kerri who had just came out of being raped twice, or a domestic violence situation, or sitting in my sister's blood because she drank herself to death and I had to clean it up, right? That to me feels really hard. Not now because I understand it, but for somebody who's experienced situations like that and haven't gotten to the level that you and I come from in terms of our understanding, that feels really hard to say there's no suffering.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't even know how to explain that to somebody because it's um, you have to experience it yourself to have the aha
Yeah,
moment. And the
you
best way I
can't
can
explain
describe
it.
it, yeah, the best way to describe it, it's like how do you describe somebody or to a little kid what burning is? Like he has to burn himself to know.
Yep,
So it doesn't only take you to get to the understanding. You can just read a book and understand it. You have to go through the experience to experience it as well, to actually get it and be like, aha, so this is what it actually is.
yeah,
um, and this is why I think we're here to have a human experience, to have different experiences and be able to have positive and negative experiences and understand that we're not the experiences that we're having. We're just having the experience. Kind of like when you go to see a movie, you engulf yourself in the story and the movie theater, and you might even get yourself to feel like the character in the movie, but you're not the character, and then you still feel the emotions that the character go through. And one scene they're happy and the next scene they're sad or they're going down, or maybe their family abandoned them, or they go from like zero to hero, and you're feeling all those things, but they're not you, they're just what happens on the screen. So it kind of like in real life it's almost the same. You have the experience and you go like, oh, okay, this is an experience that I'm having, and you understand, and you're just having the experience, and then after that, you can relay and say, well, now I know how maybe Joe feels or somebody else because I just had the same experience. Does
yeah.
that make sense the way I'm explaining it?
Yeah, I mean, and again, I get it, but for anybody out there who's like, "What in the hell?" I totally get it because I mean, I remember I think I said this before, but there's just certain spiritual teachers I remember reading and being like, it had to be my spirit that kept bringing me back to the text because my logical mind was like, I remember. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I remember vividly like throwing books. I'm like, this is absolutely asinine. I don't even know what the hell you're saying right now. This is, and being maddened to the
Yeah, it
point
makes no sense.
irritated. I was just so,
Yeah.
and yet, interestingly enough, I kept reading it, and that's where when you get out of your own way, when you stop thinking and you just are guided, and I was guided, like I could have easily said to hell with this and put it down, and I'm sure certain books I did for a long time. I know there's certain books that it took me probably a decade to read, but um if you guys are feeling that way, I totally get it. I really do. But I think, and I can only speak for myself, but I know Yanko and I are on the same page in a lot of things. Guys, we are manifesting our experience. We just are. Like, in any given moment, your thoughts, your repeated, cycle of thinking is causing the physical. You're at 23 old. Evidently, my watch knows where I live. It's causing this physical experience. And
Right.
so, even if nothing that Yanko and I say resonates and it feels like really hard and weird, and that's totally okay, Yanko and I are fine with that. I would encourage you to at least start to get curious about how you feel each day. And if you feel angry, sad, like if the majority of your experience is frustration or apathy is a concerning one, shame, guilt, then I would encourage you to give yourself permission to seek somebody who can guide you, who's knowledgeable. And there's a lot of people out there who have degrees but haven't done the work themselves. So vet people well. But then, too, just get curious and see what comes up, because your soul is always going to tell you what you need. It's just that so often what we know, what we hear that we need, we don't want to do because it's scary, and so we don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's usually the thinking mind that transforms our experiences, because you're going from like full whole and complete out of your comfort zone, and then you're thinking, well, how do I go back to being zen or whatever?
Hmm.
And it's tough, but I think the journey starts with taking responsibility for your actions. I think that's what I think everyone can start off like. When you're on this like, oh, it's his fault, oh, he did it, oh, it wasn't me, or whatever. You just have to be true with yourself. Like, you have to sit down, and once you start taking responsibility for your actions, then you can see the patterns, and then you realize that whatever you were thinking in that moment, you created it, and then the universe give that back to you.
Hmm.
And because you're here to have an experience, so if you're constantly saying, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, well, what do you think the universe is going to give you? It's going to be like, you want to have that experience, here you
Have
go,
at
have
it.
the experience.
It doesn't
Yep.
care. It doesn't get.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
funny. It, and I have to tell you, I watch most of the people that I am around a lot still stuck in that thought process. And I cringe. I'm like, stop saying you can't. Like, you were told. But I am, here's the other thing, right? There's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna listen to this, and it's gonna be so far removed from their understanding, because when you elevate your consciousness and people around you don't, eventually they can't understand you. You're on completely different
I
wavelength.
know. I know.
And
it,
that's
it's
hard, because that
yeah.
happens with my family. Like, I mean, my family does not understand me. I'm like cuckoo, batshit crazy. And that's okay. I'm fine. I'd rather have
That's why we're that's why we're cuckoo together,
I know. But that's okay, right? And I think that speaks to being comfortable and loving yourself where you're at, regardless of what other people think. But it is like, if I could infuse people with just the information that your thoughts create your reality, right? Think about if an active alcoholic finally got that insight, right? Just, oh, then yeah, it's not going to be easy if you're physically dependent on alcohol to quit. It's not going to go from
Right.
zero to happy.
Right.
But you are going to be like, "Ooh, I might want to, oh, I just said I suck. I might want to say, nope, I don't suck. Why is it I did this? Let me
Right.
come from a place of curiosity instead of judgment."
That's exactly what I was gonna bring up. I was gonna say that Once you start taking responsibility for your actions, something wonderful is going to happen. You're going to be empowered. You're going to feel like now I am in control of my life. I'm no longer not in control of my life, but now I actually can create the reality I want to live instead of for me that's always happening to me, or it's not my fault or whatever. But once you get the hold of that, that's very empowering. Like you can actually say, all right, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is what I want, and then you get it. And once you get it, you're like, yeah, I actually have a control. Like actually, like I can do things,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
So that's not,
And it
yeah.
takes practice. Like, there's something I've been working on manifesting for God. I think it's going to be like 6 or 7 years, and it's
Mhm.
coming. Like, I woke up this morning, I'm like, oh fuck, like you better be ready because this thing is gonna hit, and you're gonna have to be okay with that. And everybody will know because I share everything, but I'm not going to do it until it happens. Um, but here's the reality. I've had to train my brain for 7 years or longer, really, but strategically for this specific thing, I've had to train my brain for 7 years. And so understanding the importance of just considering how you want to experience life first, like thinking about that, you and me have talked, and you're like, well, I don't care about having superpowers or money and all that. Nope. I want money. Okay. I am going to be a motivational global speaker. Yep. I'm totally fine with saying those things. And I had to get clear on that before I could change my thinking to then make that happen. And it
Right.
will happen because I'm very clear and focused on what I want. And any thought that takes away from that experience that I want, I witness, and then I transmute it into something else.
And here is, I'm gonna take a um, side thing on the whole thing, and we'll come back to it. Where I want to encourage our viewers, because this is going on live, if they have any questions or anything, we have a chat. We can bring you in.
Yep,
Ask us questions, and we'll be really happy to chat with you or even bring you in the stream. We want to make this interactive and be able to actually serve you as much as we can,
I love
and
that.
and
That's
and
what
and,
we want
and
to
be
do.
here for you.
Yep.
And to circle back to what you were saying, money is not a bad thing. It's
Not.
we're being like brought up to think that money are evil, and if you have a money, you become this like cruel person or whatever. But money, it's actually energy and motion, because like everything, it's energy in the universe, and you can take that money and do something with it. Take like you're taking that energy, kind of like, if I would say, you can take a wind power to make electricity with it, and that electricity can serve family houses to warm up their food or warm up their houses or anything else. It's kind of the same way. You take that money, you take that energy, and you invest it back on, and you make something out of it. You're as long as you're using the energy in a creative way to be able to empower other people or do something with it, then that'll be okay, instead of just
Yeah.
stagnating
Well,
it.
I mean, I think that we can touch on this next week if it comes up because I am not a fan of like structure or planning. But
I'm the same way. That's why we're just like, whatever
well,
comes up.
it was funny because I was talking to my dear friend Gail Kraft, who and we should
Hmm.
have her on the show. But we were
Yeah.
talking about it yesterday, and I'm like, if somebody saw my business plan, they would crap because my business plan is to show up in love. Right?
Right.
Now, granted, I'm a former CEO. I ran business for 25 years. So I'm
Right.
fully aware of business planning, strategic, key performance metrics, blah, 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 right? all of it's laughable, and I'm sorry, it just is. And so that's why I don't plan, because to plan is to be in fear, because if I'm planning, then I am trying to control an outcome, and I don't need to
Right.
control an outcome. I just have to be
Right.
present in this moment, and the outcome will unfold the way it's supposed to,
Right.
rather than how I think it needs to be.
Yeah. It's very
But that
confusing to me. I can relate to that myself too, because, being an employee for so many years, I did, Monday, Friday, not thinking or planning and venturing into running my own business. Now I got to learn a lot of things about marketing or planning or budgeting or
do
what
you?
am I supposed to do. And wow, apparently, I mean, that's why sometimes when I sit with somebody that's in that field, they say, well, you got to do this and that and this and that. And I say, do I really have to? Like, I don't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you
whatever
know?
resonates with me, because like I get that and they say, oh, if you're not on Google Ads, or if you're not planning this, or if you're not like inviting the people or doing this, or like using certain keywords, or if you don't have your email structure in a certain way, and and I know the power of that. Like, I'm a hypnotist. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can, like, sell you on anything, but that's not the idea though. The idea is to be in alignment with whoever I'm working with, not just to like, okay, let's sell you a product, or let's see you next Friday and let's do this, or
You know, that's I love that you said that, because two things. I just got off a networking conversation before our call, and I said to the woman point blank, I'm like, I'll absolutely introduce you to people, but I refuse to do it via email now, because I don't like that. I do videos. So if that feels good
right,
for you, cool. If it
yeah,
doesn't, cool. But just know I'm not going to introduce you.
right,
That's not to be a dick. I just don't
right,
want to do it, and I'm not going
right,
to do it. If you don't like it, then that's fine too. I can respect that. Um, and that's the thing, is the reality is you see all of these people leaving corporate America, and we're like, we are going to do it our way. They're not
yeah,
doing it their way. They're doing it the same way. And as a result, you know what? They're experiencing massive burnout, because you can't run a company as one person. Before, I had a team, I could delegate. And
right,
honestly, I think that that was the best um realignment I had in my business, was when I stopped and I was like, why was I successful in corporate America? Oh, yeah,
hmm,
I delegated all the crap I didn't want to do.
right,
As soon as I did that in my personal business, forget about it. Boom. Because you don't have to do the things you don't like. You know what you do? You call into the universe and say, hey,
right,
send me somebody who can deal with my advertisement.
yep,
Send me somebody who could run my life,
yep,
which I
and you got it,
Krista Barone, people, anybody looking for a whatever operation. She's like, I call her my COO. She's sort of taking that role, but not really. But like, I just keep reminding her that she's my COO. But no, she's exceptional. Wicked wisdom consultant, guys. It took me like 3 years to find her. She knows what she's doing. She runs my life to do the things I don't want to do that she's good with. And because I'm so tapped in, tuned in, I'm like, Krista, if there's things you need to do that you don't want to do because you don't like to do them, don't do them. Let's find somebody to do them. So that
right,
way everybody is doing what they love to do, not what they think they have to do. And
yeah,
when that happens, everything's in flow and you don't have to worry about anything.
right,
And
yeah.
on that note, we should probably wrap it up, because I got a client soon, and I could talk for days, and I don't want to be disrespectful to you, because you should be able to talk too.
No, that's okay though. I like it because like I nowadays I'm more into observing mode. I like to observe and listen and just like see different perspectives and everything. So a lot of the times,
You know
you
what?
might just find me with like random people and be like, well, why do you do what you do, or like, and that opens up a lot of like perspectives and a lot of things that come out. So I don't always have to if I don't feel like I need to share something, I won't share it because we just talked about it. So don't. It's wonderful. I love this dynamic.
I
What we're
know.
having it is just like I know.
And you know what? I have no doubt that what we're creating will land with people when it's meant to. Because the thing is we are elevating. Like it's just it's happening so fast, and you see the gaps of consciousness, and it's just very interesting. But anyway, all of you guys, first off, Yanko, I have nothing but so much love for you. It's a deep privilege and honor to be able to call you like a soul brother, family, just
Thank you.
somebody who is just aligned. And then for the audience, really truly we want to be here of service. The whole point of this, yes, it's a
Right.
joke, no particular reason, but it's true in that we're here to serve you. So we've both done the work. Neither one of us are above any of you guys. We've just done more work at tweaking the way our brains operate. So it's in service to the higher good of everybody rather than our egoic self. And we would be glad to support any of you. So if you have any questions, reach out. Let us know. We're happy to answer them on or off this live. And then feel free to follow us, share us, like us, do all those things if you want. If not, that's cool too. Yanko and I don't care. And yeah, we'll be back next week at
Same time, same space. So we're gonna continue doing that every Friday, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, and 11 a.m. Pacific. So yeah, those are the times. We're gonna stick to it. And again, we'll love to hear from you. We have a way to interact through social media or anything while watching the live. Send us any questions, any inquiries. Let's make this interactive. Let's bring your perspective. This is why we're here for you. Let's make this more fun.
until next time, guys. Be well, be blessed, and make sure you have fun. If you're not having fun, it's not worth doing.
Bye bye.